Hey, we are live. It is Sunday night, so you know what that means. It's time for Live with Lynn. So I'm Lynn Huber.
I'm Richard.
And this is Richard. I want to welcome you out today. If you're here, say hi. If you're watching the replay, be sure to type replay so we know you're here. So it looks like there's still people coming on. And so let me move some things around here so that we can kind of get going. And I will share my screen. There we go. Okay. So, hi, Sandy. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. So this is my blog. This is onlinebeautybiz.com. And this is, I originally started this for my team because, you know, when you get the same, as a leader, you get the same questions over and over again. How do I get paid? How do I set up my website? How do I do this? And so that's why I started this blog, but it's also an amazing tool for anybody. And you don't have to be on my team to have access to this or even to share it to your team, because I'm not recruiting or doing anything on this blog other than, you know, Avon training. So it's more, you're more than happy. I mean, you're more than welcome to use this with your teams. But if you're just getting started, up here at the top, but you want to click on getting started, that walks you through everything. Like, how do I get paid? How do I find an order in my online store? My customer wants to, my customer, I don't know, whatever. And how do I do it? Right? All of these things are in there. In that getting started. When you look at my blog, you have the main part, which is this welcome to my blog. That's the main part of the body of the blog. And on this side where it says sign up today, that's what's called the sidebar. And on that, you can sign up to receive emails from me if you are not receiving them already, or you can search for something. So if you don't know how to do something, you can search for it, or you can click on a category and anything that's tagged in that category will show up. So if you're on a computer, it's side by side, just like this. If you're on a phone, the main part is here and the sidebar moves to the bottom. So if you're on your phone, just scroll down. There's about 7 posts or so, and then you'll get to that bottom part where you can sign up for the newsletter or search or see the categories. Hi, Julie. Hi, Doug and Lisa. Good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. So today we are going to talk about this one right here. What's stopping you from having a vision-driven CEO mindset? So we started this a week ago with the CEO mindset. And if you missed that first post, you can find it here. Here's a link to it. And so today we're going to talk about your fears and figuring out what's holding you back from creating that CEO mindset. But before we get too far into this, we need to talk about our Daily 8 system, because we have this system in place for our team, and you don't have to be on our team again for this. This is for everybody. But it's really pretty simple to grow your Avon business. There's really only 4 main steps. Number 1, prospecting for new customers and recruits. Number 2, getting a brochure to every customer, every campaign. Number 3, following up with every customer that you gave a brochure to, every campaign. And then you take the order, submit it to Avon, deliver it, or you send them to your online store and they place the order and Avon delivers it, right? It's just that simple, and then rinse and repeat. So let's start at the beginning, prospecting for new customers and recruits. If you're brand new, we ask you to make a list of everyone you know. You don't need to worry about it. Nobody's going to see that list. It's not like you're going to hand it to me and I'm going to call them. That's not going to happen. It's your list, and it's there just to support you as you're building your business. Hi, Lisa. Good to see you. So you're just going to create this list. And if you get it out of your head and on paper, it makes it a lot easier to get more people. It helps remind you of other people you might know. And then you're just going to work through that list, it might be, it's not like you're going to hardcore sell anybody. You're just going to work through the list and say, hey, I maybe text them or Facebook message them or however you normally would contact that person and say, hey, I'm so excited. I just started my new Avon business. Would you be interested in seeing an Avon brochure? And if they say yes, that counts as 1 point. We're going to get into that in our Daily 8, but that counts as somebody that you've got their contact information from, even though you already had it, because they said yes, and you're going to send them the link to your brochure, or you're going to drop off a paper brochure, or whatever you're going to do. And then you're going to add them to your list, right? And so now they're always going to get a brochure, and they're always going to get follow-ups. And so that's really what that is. You also can prospect like Sandy Sandell. Yep, she was at an event yesterday at a casino in the parking lot, whole big Halloween craft, and you looked amazing with your costume. But she was out making contacts, getting meeting people, selling products, getting their contact information. She does a drawing, so they fill out a drawing form, right? And she signed up 2 reps yesterday. So go Sandy, this is all about, this is it, prospecting for new customers and recruits. Maybe you go to the grocery store and you talk to the cashier. Maybe I tend to like to stand outside the grocery store and I talk to people as they come out. And I have paper brochures in my arms. And I go, hey, would you like an Avon brochure? And if they say yes, I say, I mail my brochures. Would you like to get on my mailing list? That's how I get their information. So it's all different ways. You could say, hey, I just started to sell Avon. We have this really cool digital brochure. Would you be interested in seeing it? And then, of course, you'd have to get their cell phone number and put them in your phone as a contact, and then you can text them the digital brochure. But those are ways to prospect. And then you're going to make sure you get a brochure, whether it's paper or digital, that's up to you, to every customer, every campaign. You're going to follow up with every customer you gave a brochure to, every campaign. Don't assume that if they want something, they'll call you, because they won't. They won't. Everybody is too busy. They forget. We all forget. You've got kids, you've got your job, you've got husbands, you've got whatever. You've got all kinds of things going on, and people just don't remember. Hi, Debbie. Good to see you. But so you need to follow up every campaign. And we're going to make it really easy for you. And then you'll take the order, right? So we have a daily 8 system, and it's a proven formula. And when followed consistently, the daily 8 plan is going to help you maintain the consistency required to build a thriving team and exponentially expanding residual income. So instead of working 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week like you would in your full-time job, your goal is to capture 8 points a day, 5 days a week, for a total of 40 points a week. You can do that a whole lot quicker than 40 hours a week, right? So print this sheet and use it to track your points. I already downloaded it right here. This is our daily 8. It's like 9 pages. You can print one of these off, but what you really need is page 2. So you can print a bunch of page 2. Hi, Sin. Hi, Griselda. Good to see you. Thanks for being here, you guys. So this is page 2 of this, and this is where you're going to track it. So you'll put your week of, like today's date or tomorrow's date, depending on if you start your week on Sunday or Monday. And Sandy says, yes, be consistent. That is the secret. Yes. So that's what our daily 8 does, is it helps you be consistent. And so you're going to go in and you're going to give yourself points. So you'll write your days of the week at the top, and you'll give yourself points for each thing you do that day, right? Your goal is to capture 8 points. And so prospecting for customers. So if you're brand new and you're working for your list, through your list, maybe you have a goal to contact 5 people a day, or maybe your goal is to actually get 3 names a day or 5 names a day. So however many people it takes to get that, right? So you'll just work through your list and you just say, hey, I just started my Avon business. I'm really excited. Would you like to see a brochure? If they say yes, that counts as 1 point, because now you've got, even though you already had their contact information, now you have permission, okay? And you're going to get a brochure to them. And if you're out and about and you're doing an event, hi, Denise, you're doing an event like Sandy did, or you're at the grocery store, you're talking to the cashier, or wherever you are, and if you get their contact information, that's a point, right? And so you just work through and get it. And it's the same thing for team members. They're separate here, but really they're one and the same, because you're really prospecting for both, right? Prospecting for team members and customers. Now, this is a one-time deal. Follow up with your potential customers and recruits 2 days after meeting them. So you met them in the grocery store, or you called them from your list and you texted them a digital brochure. 2 to 3 days later, you just need a really quick text or whatever saying, hey, just checking in. I met you at Walmart, or I texted you the digital brochure the other day, just checking in to see if there's anything I can help you with. And now you're going to put them on your system that you're going to do every campaign to follow up with them. So that one is just kind of a one-time deal. So now your system is getting a brochure to every customer. We use Campaign Mailer for that. We mail our brochures. I also use Project Broadcast to text digital brochures out. So you're going to do that to every customer, every campaign. It's not your job to get in your head. It's not your job to say, oh man, I've sent her brochures the last 6 times and she hasn't ordered. Should I send her another one? No, you should always send her another one unless she says she's not interested. Right? If you're paying for brochures and your question is, can I afford to keep sending brochures to somebody who's not responding, then that's a different conversation. And that one is one where you can say, I've sent her 6 brochures. She hasn't responded. I think I'll move her to my text list. Right? So you still are getting her brochure every campaign, but it might not be in the mail, because of course I get that. It adds up. You start doing a lot of people in the mail, it adds up, right? So then you're going to, hi, Lily, and Denise. Did I say hi to Denise? Hi, you guys. Good to see you. Okay, so you're going to get a brochure to every customer. I give you 1 point because using Campaign Mailer or Project Broadcast, it literally takes you 1 minute. I mean, you know, if you have this going and you have people in your list already, then it doesn't take any time. So I give you 1 point. If you're literally driving around town dropping books off to people, give yourself more. Give yourself a point for every 30 minutes or something that you're doing it, right? Then we're going to do follow-up texts or calls to every customer a couple of days before you place your order. Every campaign. Every campaign. You're not going to get in your head. You're not going to say, well, if she wanted something, she would have called me. No. And you know what? This is really easy because I use Project Broadcast for it. I just have this text already written. I just change the campaign number and I say, hey, my order's going in on Wednesday. If there's anything you want, let me know by Tuesday. And it goes out to everybody. And I don't have to second guess who's on that list because it doesn't matter who's on that list. I have hundreds on that list and I'm not going to go back and look at each one of them. But I'm not targeting them specifically, right? It's just you're sending it to your list. And then you're going to place your order at Avon. You get a point for that, and then sort and deliver your orders. Obviously, it might take you a little bit of time depending on how many orders you have. So give yourself a point for every 30 minutes or so that you're spending doing that. And then there's other ways you can prospect, putting brochures out door to door, various businesses. You just get 1 point for that because you're not collecting names. So you could do it for like 1 point for every half hour you spend or something like that, but you cannot say 1 for every door you put a book on, obviously, because you're not getting their names, right? This is passive. Same thing, posting, scheduling, posts on social media. Those are crucial for your business. They help your business grow, but you're not getting contact information. When you post that on social media, you don't know who's going to respond. So it's just kind of, it's passive. You're still doing it and it still is growing your business. And so those are good things to do. And then you have other things, Facebook parties, an event, a show. You get a point for each new representative you bring in. You get a point for training those new representatives. Once you get going in leadership, you're going to want to look at your leadership reports and look for opportunities to support your team, right? And then there's like business training and personal development. So these two are critical as well because you're only going to grow. Your income is only going to grow as fast as your personal development. So these are important. But if you're spending all of your time doing these, you're not going to make money. I hope that makes sense. You need to be up here. You need to be doing the top 1/3 of this. And that's where you're going to make your money. The personal development and the business training is going to help you to be able to make that money, but it's not the tasks that are going to make you money. So I hope that makes sense. So focus most of your time on the top as much as possible. So that's our daily 8 system. And you guys, it works. It works. I have people telling me all the time, you know, people will submit their numbers to me and they'll write in the comments that they love it, that it's working for them. And so here is, if you want to log your weekly numbers, you can go here. This is a form, a Google form that you can fill out. You do not have to be on my team. This is just for us to support you, right? And all it is it's your name, what campaign you're in, how many points you got, and what were your wins this week, and what did you not do so well. That's like the whole form. And, you know, by you filling this out, you've already solved your problem, because if you knew what you did really well, you know that you want to do that again. And if you knew what you didn't do so well, you're going to try it a different way next time. And so that already by itself is going to help you to be more successful. But also, I might send you a card in the mail congratulating you. I might email you if you put something in here about what you didn't do so well or what you're struggling with. And if I have an answer or maybe a blog post or something that will help you, I'll email you and send that to you. So like I said, you don't have to be on my team. I'm here to support you. Richard and I both firmly believe that a rising tide lifts all the ships in the harbor, right? If the water goes up, all the ships rise up. And it's the same thing with Avon. The more representatives that are successful, the more successful in general Avon will be, and the more successful we all will be. So that's what this is. This is just a form you can fill out. And then be sure to join our Facebook group, our Online Beauty Biz Facebook group. You probably are in it already if you're on this live. And here's where a post about how to automate your follow-up. So this is a training on how to do what I just said, the mailing brochures with Campaign Mailer, using Project Broadcast to text your digital brochure, using Project Broadcast to follow up on your you know, that your order's going in, using dial my calls for the little old ladies that don't have cell phones or don't text. They get a pre-recorded message. It's all in here, this training. And if you can just get this down, it might take you a minute to set this up, but if you can just get this down, your business is just going to keep growing every campaign. It's just that simple. So let's see. So Griselda says, I have been using Project Broadcast since last year when you encouraged us to use it, and it saves so much time. Thank you. It really, I have never found a better program than Project Broadcast, you guys. It is amazing. It is. And I use that. I actually use my Project Broadcast number as my business number. So I have it forward to my home phone, but then people can text me. They can call me. If they call me, it rings on my home phone. And it's just a lifesaver. It's just an amazing program. So anyway, that's the basics of our daily 8, okay? So let's get into our training today. So let's talk about what's holding you back from your CEO mindset. So as we talked about last week, CEOs are visionaries, right? Odds are you started your Avon business because you had a big audacious goal, right? Or you had a vision. Maybe you wanted to stay home with your kids. Maybe you wanted to be able to quit your job and work on your own terms. Or there could be a myriad of other reasons. I mean, when I first started, I just wanted to pay for a Square Dance website. I had no intention of doing much with it, to be honest with you. But that changed over time too, because I had a vision. I am able to create a vision, if that makes sense. Because once I saw what was possible for me with Avon, Richard and I both, we kind of looked at each other and went, "Ooh, holy crap. You mean we could quit our jobs? We could do this full time?" And we created a vision and we moved forward. And guess what? We're living that vision now. We haven't worked in a job since 2008. We are debt free. We have no house payment, no car payments. We are living the dream. We're living life on our terms. And, but maybe for you, maybe it's just that you want to, maybe you want to be home with your kids. Maybe you have young kids, right? And you want to be able to be home with them. You don't want to send them to daycare. Or gosh, there's lots of reasons. And so you want to really, Sin says, that's so awesome. Thank you. Thank you. It's totally possible if that's what you want, right? You just have to determine what you want. You have to create that vision for what your Avon business is going to look like. We're not the only ones. There's lots and lots of people that do Avon full time that are making big money with it, that have quit their jobs. So it's out there. So what we need to look at, though, is what's holding you back. And 99% of the time, I think what holds us back from having that CEO mindset is fear. I think, and we're going to go into that in more detail, and that's really what today's training is all about. But bottom line, I'm going to get really brutal here. Many times, you just have to feel the fear and do it anyway. Sometimes there's no other way around it. You just have to do it. I know that we have Anitra, who I haven't seen her on tonight, but I'm sure she'll be watching the replay. She's afraid of doing Facebook Lives. She's afraid of doing live video. I get it. She's blind. She doesn't know how she's going to look. And there's a lot of things that have to do with that fear. And I'm not saying she's wrong to have that fear, but she has been afraid of this for a very long time. And now it's almost like you just have to say, okay, I'm afraid. Yep, I'm afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway. And after you do it 3 or 4 or 5 times, it's going to get a lot easier, But let's talk about, I actually have this worksheet. If you click here, use this worksheet to help you work through what might be holding you back. And this is like, along with what we're going to talk about, this worksheet is just helping you. So it's like, define your fears. What am I afraid of? This is just a worksheet that will help you work through the training that I'm going through today. So you can look at that later if you haven't already looked at that. But some of the things is, if you don't know how to do something, maybe you don't know, maybe you're afraid that, or you don't think that you can be a CEO because you don't know how to do it, right? And so reach out. If you don't know how to do something, reach out to somebody or a group and ask questions. Google it. Gosh, Google is my best friend. Also, YouTube. YouTube is my best friend. Whenever I don't know how to do something, or even I've been looking at lately trying to figure out how to unhook my cable, get away from cable and do something less expensive. And so I literally went to YouTube and searched how to let go of my cable, right? Or gosh, what have I searched for? Like cable internet versus streaming, it's just amazing the things you can find, right? So the thing is, you've got to get out of your own way. If you're just hung up on, well, I don't know the answers, and you let those small problems get you down, you're going to end up hurting your business because you're not going to grow. As long as you let yourself keep using that excuse of, I don't know how, you're not going to grow. And, yeah, although there's basics that apply to every successful business, every Avon representative runs their business a little differently. That's the benefit of our Avon business. We get to run it the way we choose. And so if you look at all the top people with Avon, you'll see they all do it different. Everybody's business is different. And everybody runs it different, but they're still at the top. So there's plenty of room for you to figure out what will work for you and for you to do it your way, right? But it is important, with that being said, as a CEO, you just can't do things that because everybody else is doing them or because you've heard somewhere that you should do it, right? So if you fall into this trap, sometimes it's one of your fears is like going against the grain. So if you're afraid to go against the grain, or you're afraid to try something different than what everybody else is doing, that's a trap that can hold you back. That's a fear. And so following someone else's strategy might work short term, but odds are it's not going to feel great if it's not actually aligned with what you know is best for your business. So for example, you think every other Avon representative is on TikTok, right? That's the hot thing right now. Everybody's on TikTok, it seems like. And you start pouring enormous amounts of time and energy into learning the platform when you already have a good thing going on Facebook. And your Facebook feels easy and effortless already. So if you continue to pour all that time and energy into TikTok, it's likely not going to yield the same results as someone who naturally feels aligned and drawn to the platform. And so that's what you need to be careful is. So you have to go back to basics. Go back to what works for me. So a favorite mentor of mine always asks her clients, what if it was easy? Because your strategy doesn't have to be difficult or complicated. In fact, the easier it is, the more successful you're going to be. The easier it is to plan it out, the easier it is to systemize it, the easier it is to make it happen, the easier your success is going to come. So start off with what you know and become an expert at it, and then venture off to a new platform if you feel inclined, right? And so you just have to, the idea though is you really need to uncover what specific fears are holding you back. So let's see, Sin says, I watched Molly's YouTube video from 7 years ago today about investing in at least 100 books a campaign and tossing them. I am making that commitment to help me out as well. That's powerful. That it really is powerful. And that's one way. I haven't actually ever tossed them. We have gone and put them on doorsteps, but I know a lot of people that have had great luck with tossing them. And so she's saying at least 100 books. You know what? Molly's really smart. And that's a very good solid plan. But if you really want to step it up with the holidays right here, you might want to think about even more, like 200 or 300 books. When Richard and I we put them on doorsteps, we did about 300 because we did a neighborhood, and there's roughly about 300 people in a neighborhood, right? And Sin says, I can barely keep up with Facebook. Yeah, I get that. And she says, I actually put them on doors as well. Okay, good. So that I do believe, I actually have a whole training on that on Online Beauty Biz. I believe that the number one, and we'll just go into this really short because I don't want to go off on a tangent, but the number one way to get customers is to knock on those doors, introduce yourself and say, hi, I'm Lynn with Avon. I'm your local Avon rep. Would you like to see a brochure? And if so, get their name and address. Their name and phone number or whatever, so you can follow up with them. That's the number one most successful way to do that. The second most successful is putting it on the doorstep. And if you do that, you need to understand that your very few people are gonna respond to you right away. You might have to leave those books 3, 4, 5, 6 times before they will call you. And so that's what we do. Richard and I did. We left them on the doorstep 6 campaigns in a row, and then literally moved to the next neighborhood. And over years, we blanketed all of Ventura, California, by doing that. So these 300 houses, then these 300 houses. But we did them 6 times in a row, and you'll get more response the 4th, 5th, and 6th time that you leave that book. The 1st and 2nd time, I imagine a lot of your books are going in the garbage. You just need to understand that that's what it is, and that's okay because it's part of the process, right? And sometimes you could put, like Jessica Stover was telling me, she puts a really cute note on them that says, hey, call me and let me know you got this, and I'll give you a free prize. So that's like a little incentive to get them to call. That's another way to do it. Right? So Sandy says, I love door hangers because you can add a sample with the books. Yeah, that's a great idea. And Griselda says, I toss them too. I put them in a clear Avon bag and toss. And a month ago, I signed up a person from that toss of books. So yes, so it all works. You guys, it all works. It's just some work better than others. And sometimes you have to go by what you can do, because maybe you're not even physically able to walk that many houses, or maybe you don't have the time. I used to have a couple that lived in, they lived in Simi Valley, that in California. Simi Valley, California. It was a couple that was on my team. He has since passed, and so she's not actively working it anymore. But they tossed brochures. He drove, or she drove, he threw them, right, on doorsteps. And they did amazing business with that. That's the way they got their customers, and they literally had $1,000 a campaign in orders. Now I think they were tossing a lot of brochures, but it does work. So you have to, the key is just like Sandy said earlier, the key is to be consistent, right?
Lisa up there said something up above. Lisa Jones.
Oh, Lisa,
yeah.
There we go. She says, that's exactly what I say all the time. Google and YouTube are my two best friends.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Isn't it amazing how much you can learn?
It's our new encyclopedia.
Googling something, so much easier than an encyclopedia.
Yes.
Do you remember the days when we used to have to go to the library and pour through the encyclopedias to try to write our reports that we were writing? Oh, here, Sin, I'm glad you brought this up. My thing is going up to the door and realizing they have a no soliciting sign. I just leave the book and move on. Do you know what? You're not the one they don't want to hear from. You're not the one, so don't let that bother you. What they want, and in fact, it's the strangest thing, but the majority of our customers have no soliciting signs. Or Richard when he was putting books on the doorsteps, he would say, oh, I probably won't get one from there. Because they had a no soliciting sign. Or what's really funny is he'd put a book on a doorstep, and then the next house would have an Avon, I sell Avon on their window. And he'd go, oh crap, I just put them all over this neighborhood and there's a rep here. But you know what? We got more orders out of that neighborhood than ever. So
because that rep didn't put any books out.
Yeah. So here's the deal. So here's what's happening with the no soliciting sign. What they don't want is they don't want the missionaries knocking on their door trying to convince them to join your church, whatever church, right? They also don't want you coming in with your little cloak going, ooh, I have all this jewelry. Look at this. Look at it. Cal, I give it to you. And that hardcore sale, or the kind of sale you get in Mexico on the beach, that's what they don't want. They're mostly totally happy with an Avon rep. So it's not you they're talking about. You're actually not selling anyway. You're offering them a brochure. You're not charging them for that brochure, so you're not selling anything. So just if that helps. Griselda says yes, consistency is essential, and LOL. And the solar panels. Yeah, maybe that's another one people are doing.
Yeah.
So don't let that hold you back. Okay. So common fears that business owners face that can impact their CEO mindset. So I'm going to dig into that process in a minute, but here's just a couple of common, there's a lot, right? So the fear of saying no. You don't want to miss the next big opportunity. Have you felt yourself with that or any of these? I totally understand this, because someone will come to me and they'll go, hey, I just joined this company and it's amazing. And you don't want to say no because you don't want to eliminate a potential opportunity that you could do really well with. But at the same time, you have to make that decision. I had to make that decision that I'm not looking at opportunities at all. I'm not looking at them because I want to be laser focused on Avon. And so when someone comes to me with an opportunity, as amazing as it might sound, I say no. And the truth is, I learned this the hard way. And that's another thing I don't want to go off on a tangent on. But just let me suffice it to say, we walked away from Avon for 6 years, Richard and I did, and it was the biggest mistake we made in our life. So from now on, if somebody comes to me with an opportunity, it's no. It's no. I don't want to miss the next big opportunity, but I also am really confident that I have an amazing opportunity, and that is enough for me, right? So maybe the fear of making decisions. Are you someone who's afraid to make decisions? So you procrastinate or you put them off? That's not helping you, right? The fear of offending somebody. Some business owners are afraid to write polarizing content or speak to one specific reason because of this fear. So maybe you have somebody on your list that you're working, and you feel like they're highly successful, and you're afraid to offer them the Avon opportunity, right? Well, you don't have to. Just say, hey, I just started my Avon business. Would you be interested in seeing an Avon brochure? But you will be surprised at how many super successful people are interested in the Avon opportunity, because they are tied to a job that's 70, 80 hours a week that sucks all the blood out of them. Sandy's on here. She gets it. She's in that position. She's looking for her Avon is going to be her retirement business, because she works that power job now. She's working, I don't know how many hours, probably 60 hours a week. and a high pressure job. And so she wants Avon to be her retirement so she can quit her job sooner and live life on her terms, right? And Sandy says, I see way too many things going on, and then they do not spend time on me.
You can't chase 3 rabbits.
Yeah, you just can't. You just can't. And if you are trying to do 2 opportunities at once, you're always going to be split between those 2. You're going to be going, well, with that person, I'll show them that. With that person, I'll show them that. But you're split between the 2, and you will never be successful with either one of them. It's just my opinion. Now, if you want to start a second business, make sure the first one is successful first. Get that one to the level you want to be at, then start the second one. Then it's not such a big, you're not pulling apart from, you're not, pulling apart from each other. Afraid of managing a team. Some of you may be afraid of managing a team. Sandy says, Avon will be my retirement. She's already working on it. This girl's signing up lots of new team members and lots of sales, and you're a rock star, Sandy. But, some people are afraid, I can't be a leader. I don't even know what I'm doing myself, or they don't have confidence. Those are just things that are holding you back. Financial fears. What if you don't make enough money? Or what if you lose it all? Or how about a fear of success? You don't know if you're going to be capable of handling more clients and more responsibility, right? So that list goes on. And I bet you could probably relate to some of them, right? So the good news is there's an actual process you can follow to uncover your fears. Now I'm going to kind of go through this quick, because you can always go back later and do this. Also, that worksheet will help you with this. But start with actually defining your fears. Pull out a journal and answer this question, or use the worksheet I gave you. What am I afraid of when it comes to growing or running my business as a leader? So just write for 20 minutes and just see what comes out. Sometimes when you're just writing like that, you'd be surprised. Your subconscious will start bringing things out as you're writing. And let me hit this really quick. Okay, so Griselda says, good advice if you can't give it your 100% when you're juggling 2 opportunities. Absolutely. And Sandy says, thank you. And Sin says, that's great, Sandy. Awesome. Okay, so think back to your childhood as you're defining your fears, because the majority of our fears come from childhood, right? The majority of them come from interactions with adults or parents. And most of the time, it's not even anybody's fault. It just is what it is. You were young. You didn't understand what was happening around you. You assigned a certain relevance to it in your own head. And most of the time is wrong, because kids don't know much, right? We only know what we know, and we don't know a lot as a kid.
And you rework that story 1,000 times in your mind, making it worse every time. So it's probably not even close to the original happening.
Yeah, that's true too. Sandy says, I have great manners and great team members. Woohoo. Thank you, Sandy. And you do. And you're a great mentor for your team members. I'm really excited to see where you're going with this and what you're doing with your team. But so think back to your childhood. It's not about placing blame, right? I mean, like Richard said, it's something that's deep-seated, and usually they take longer to change. They're usually, and so you journal about how you'll feel when you see your business starting to take shape. So do you have the desire to eliminate these fears and change to a growth mindset? We all want to have a growth mindset, right? You don't want to, there's a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And a growth mindset says, I can go to Google or YouTube and I can figure out how to do it. A fixed mindset says, oh man, I was born poor. I'll never amount to anything. I can't be successful. So which one are you? You want to be a growth mindset, right? Because a growth person believes that they can grow, that they have the ability to change and grow and be whatever they want. And I hope that we all feel that way, right? So, what do you want? What do you want to accomplish, right? So these can be specific business milestones or a more general description of the company you want to create or the business you want to create with Avon. So this is just a great starting point. And then when I'm journaling, I always like to end with some positive thoughts in your journal so that your brain is left at the end of the exercise with positive. So that's what sticks with you, right? So solely focusing on the negative, fixed mindset thoughts like your fears can weigh on you, which can be detrimental, especially if you're an emotional person. So, and even if you don't care for writing, journaling can just help you organize your thoughts about your fears, about the future of your business. You know what? If you really don't like writing, try something like get a tape recorder and or on your phone, right? And just record, like make it a journal that you're talking instead of writing, right? But it just might help you to discover the benefits of this. And this journaling is a calming habit. It's a great way to center yourself and get clear about what it is you want. So define and refine the fears that are stunning your growth so that you can start crushing your goals. So the next step is to identify your fears, is to go back and read what you've written. And then now it's time to get clearer on what you're actually afraid of. So you can create a short list of your fears that you can start to walk through. So right now your list of fears might be long and they might seem overwhelming. And so it's time to get really specific. Do you notice any patterns with your fears? Do your fears show up more than once? Are your fears all related to a similar overarching fear? Like, for example, going live on Facebook or creating YouTube videos both tie into going live on video, right? And maybe there's other ways around that. You know, you could start doing videos maybe where you're not showing your face. Or you can even turn the camera away from you and you still talk into it, but you're showing them what's going on around you. But the key is, like I said, sometimes you just have to do it. But this is us working through what's causing that fear, where that fear came from. Because somehow I think when you can figure out where it came from and realize that you misunderstood something at some point and that it wasn't really a good belief, then you can change that belief. It's easier to change that belief when you've proven to yourself that it's not a real fear, right? And when I say it's not a real fear, I don't mean that you're not really afraid. You absolutely are. But you know, maybe you learned as a child, I don't know, I can't think of something off the top of my head, that maybe you learned as a child that you shouldn't speak up because girls don't speak up, because you heard somebody say that. And now you're an adult and you're a business owner and damn, girls speak up. Girls, we are just as powerful as men when it comes to business. So you can't let that, you can't let that hold you back, right? So as you hone in on these fears, turn them into list form. So go through each fear and ask, is it a larger, multifaceted fear, or is this a fear that can be broken into smaller parts or be more specific? And so, like that's the thing you have to watch out for, because bigger or vague fears are things like fear of the unknown. I've never led anyone before. I've never led a team before. Or not sure what step to take next. Well, I just figured this out. Now I have to do that. Right? Or fear of making mistakes or screwing up, or fear of failure. You always hear the stats about how many new business owners fail, right? Or maybe your fears of responsibility. I not only have to support my own family, but also my clients and my potential or future team members. Or fear of looking or feeling inadequate. So I don't know, and I have been in this position myself. We have all been in there. I'm sure we have, but I've felt that way. I felt like, wow, what if someone realizes that I'm a fraud? What if they think that what if they realize I really don't know what I'm doing? I mean, I have been doing Avon for 20 years. I'm pretty confident now about what I'm doing. There was a time when I first stepped up and I first was leading a team, I was terrified. What if they figured out that I really am only a step ahead of them? But the truth of the matter is you only need to be a step ahead of them in order for you to lead them, in order for you to help them, right? If you've just so much as placed your first order, you can be an amazing mentor helping someone place their first order, right? If you have done follow-ups, if you've worked our system, you can be an amazing mentor on how to work the system. So you don't need to know it all, right? But if any of these sound familiar, then we need to clarify them and get more precise into something so that we can actually start to overcome them. So let's see. Sandy said, I know my fear wasn't that I wasn't pretty enough for lives. I had to learn that I look the way I look, and that is enough. Yeah, Sandy, Lisa Wilbur just talked about that. She said she's obviously not skinny and not beautiful and not the ideal look of Avon, but she figured out that if she just stuck in there long enough, she could be successful. Look at her. She's the number 4 money earner in the company.
You've got a great personality, and people pick up on that more than anything else.
Yeah, but I also get it, Sandy, because I'm the same way. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not. I sometimes I feel like, I don't have the perfect body. I'm not young and sexy and all of these things. And it doesn't matter, because Richard's absolutely right. It's your personality. People like you for who you are, not necessarily for what you look like, right? I don't know it all, but I know that I want this, so nothing will stop me. And you know what? That's why you are going straight to the top, Sandy.
I have to say real quick, I had a teacher I admired, a really, really great teacher in high school. And years later, because I lived in an area where all the teachers lived, I met him after I graduated from high school. And I said, I always admired you. You were always so prepared. He said, with all the stuff that you used to teach. And he said, He said, I was only a chapter ahead. He said, I just read a chapter ahead of all the students.
And most teachers do that.
And it's like what Lynn was saying before. It says you do one thing more than they do.
So Sin says, oh my God, you guys stop. You're right. It does not matter. Do you know what? You are so right. Because think about it. Think about all the people you care about in your lives. Think about it. Are every one of them beautiful and sexy and drop dead gorgeous? No, they're not, right? In fact, the average people are not. Yes, I know sometimes Avon picks the cream of the crop and they use them for their photo shoots and that kind of stuff. But that's because Avon's trying to portray a look. But if you look overall, average people are average people as far as looks, as far as weight. I mean, everybody's different. And I know that I have a lot of friends. I have some that are downright ugly, but it hasn't stopped me from loving them. It hasn't stopped us from having a relationship. And it's not even something I think about, right? And so it's not. So Sandy says, I want to share this. I was recently told that others really want to hear you. The ones that need to hear it will.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And Sin says, we're all beautiful in one way or another.
Yeah.
There are some beautiful, yes, there are some beauties that are horrible people. That's so true.
Yeah.
And we are the look. We are Avon reps. Yes. Yes. See? So there we go. We kind of beat that one to death. So but you want to get, like, these are vague fears up here. You want to get down, you want to be specific. So maybe specifically you're afraid of speaking on a Facebook Live. There's other things you can do, you guys. You can write a script. You can memorize it. You can. I actually do a training on Facebook Live about how I put a script right at the top of my screen, so it doesn't look like I'm reading it, because I'm more comfortable with the script. If I don't have a script, I go all over the place. It's part of the reason why I write a blog post and then I train on it, because it's all right there for me. So maybe giving feedback to a team member who isn't performing at the level you expect, or delegating social media to a pro. And maybe that pro is your teenager, right? Or recording videos for social media. So go back through your list of fears and, using the criteria that we just talked about, categorize each fear into vague or specific. And if it's vague, try to further refine it into something specific, right? And then to do this, think back to some instances where you noticed that fear was present. And can you pinpoint a definite source of that bigger fear? So for example, fear of screwing up might have shown up when you were about to post a promotional post on Instagram. Maybe you're worried people will see you as weird or sleazy. So fear of looking sleazy on social media is a lot more specific than fear of screwing up, right? So we got more specific. And so maybe you can recall a time when you promoted a product and you received some unflattering reviews. Or maybe it was something smaller, like you met the customer for the first time and you called her by the wrong name, right? I mean, we've all done that, right? So identifying those incidents as human mistakes will go a long way to eradicating that fear of screwing up, because we all make mistakes. That doesn't mean that we're going to always screw up, right? Let's see. So Sin said, one time I put on blue eyeshadow once to try the blues, and my best friend said I look like a clown. She's still your best friend? So LOL, I did not look like those women that could pull it off. I tried, haha. Guilty. You guys, we've all done that, right? I bet you everybody on this call has done that or tried something that they didn't pull off. And also, you have to be really bad at something before you can be good at it. I'm going to tell you that right now. You have to be bad at something before you can be good. A child doesn't drop out of the womb and walk like some animals do, right? Yes, she is. That's funny. But a child doesn't just come out of the womb and go, oh, hi, Mom, I'm going for a walk, right? It doesn't happen. They don't talk. They don't walk. How many times do they fall down when they're learning to walk? Every time that you want to get good at something, you have to start out being bad at it, because you don't have any experience. It's just what it is. You go to Google, you go to YouTube. Those are your best friends. You learn intellectually how to do it. But still, until you do it, until you start doing it and making the mistakes, that's how you're going to get good. And when you make that mistake and you put that blue eyeshadow on and you go, ooh, that's not going to work for me anymore, you learned, don't put blue eyeshadow on, right? Or you threw up all over somebody when you're trying to talk to them about the Avon opportunity and they just like went, ooh, get away from me. Then you go back and you think, man, I said too much. I shouldn't have said so much, right? And every single time you're going to get better at it. So you start off terrible and you get better and better as you go. right? So learn the lessons from those incidents. So understand that mistakes don't take away from your abilities to run your Avon business as a CEO. Take the embarrassment out of the equation and just move on. And yeah, Sandy says you have to learn. You had to learn to walk. Yep. Right? So anyone can turn their employee mindset into a CEO mindset. So the difference between a CEO and an employee, you guys know this, but an employee, they go to work and they put in their 8 hours and they get their paycheck, right? And when they go home, they don't even think about it anymore because they're not at work, right? A CEO has a vision. They have a plan for their business, where they're going to take that business, and they're the ones that are setting those goals. The CEO is the one that says, man, I should be using that simple system. I should be talking to more people. I'm going to set a goal of getting 5 names a day, or whatever it is, right? That's the CEO mindset. And then you're going to take off your CEO hat, you're going to put your employee hat on, and you're going to go get those 5 names, or you're going to implement the simple system that we have for you. That's what the difference between CEO and employee. But you need both, because you run your own business and you are the CEO and you are the employee. And Savvy says job just over broke. It's true, you guys, because a job only pays you. They pay you the littlest amount they can and still keep you. They don't necessarily pay you what you're worth, right? Because a company, their bottom line is their goals is to make their bottom line as good as possible, to make the most money they can. So they pay you the least amount of money they can get away with to keep you, and that's why it's just over broke, right? Okay, so you might be able to quickly identify a more specific fear inside your vague fears. And if so, that's great, right? Just zero in on whatever specific thing provokes the most fear, because that's usually the one that's blocking your growth. And so if you're unable to further refine your fears right now, that's okay. Still keep moving through the process and keep moving through your list until you've refined each fear into something as specific as possible. And then, take your time going through that process, because the digger you deep to get specific about those fears, the more progress you'll make in the long run. And then you're going to tackle the right fear first for the biggest payoff. So now that you have a list of the specific fears and you can see them laid out on paper, which is half the battle, now it's time to crack them open and see if they're really as terrible as you think, right? So go through your list, and for each fear, ask yourself the following question: what time frame and what level of impact will my fear have on my business and my life? So, for example, will this particular fear have a short-term impact or a long-term impact? Is it a low-impact fear or a bigger fear? So a short-term impact might include anything that will affect your business from 1 month to 1 year, and a long-term might be anything longer than a year, right? So let's look at an example. The fear of posting promotional content on social media will have short-term impact and immediate consequences, because if you're trying to reach a sales level, or you're trying to earn an incentive, you're trying to go to Hawaii or whatever, when you're listening to this, whatever incentive is happening, you need to be doing these things now, right? You can't do them later. They're not going to help you get that incentive, right? While you don't need to rely on social media to reach your sales goals, you do need to come up with a different plan. So if you really seriously can't get over your fear of doing social media, then you need to find something else. Another fear that's pretty crucial, that is something you would have to be like a top priority, is if you're afraid to make follow-up calls. And really, you don't even have to call anymore. We used to have to call in the day, but now it's just a text. Use Project Broadcast. Create a template. Hi, this is Lynn, your Avon lady. Just a reminder, my order goes in on Wednesday. If there's anything you want to let me know by Tuesday, create it as a template, and then go out and schedule it for whatever day you want that to go out, with a cute little picture. I found a picture online of Lucille Ball saying, hey, Ethel, my order's going in. If there's anything you want, let me know, right? Just find something cute and stick it in there. But if you're doing it that way, then you're not thinking about each person as you're texting. You're not worrying about who's going to think you're bugging them, right? But those are fears that you really need to get on. They're kind of important. They need to happen now, right? So maybe the lesson is to outsource your social media. So that could be, maybe you have a granddaughter or a daughter, depending on how old you are, that is more comfortable with social media. Maybe they could help you with this, right? Maybe they could do it for you. You can outsource it, have them do it for you. But those are great, right? Your CEO can use that extra time and feelings of confidence to plot out new ways to find more customers and business instead of worrying about social media. There's no right or wrong answers when we talk about your fears and how they'll impact you. Just acknowledge your fears and how they're going to make you feel, because those feelings are true for you. We know that, right? Excuse me. Another way to break down your fears is to classify them with a numeric value like 1 through 4. So you'll want to classify your fears by timeliness. So the more timely a fear is, the higher it is to a 1. So for example, that promotional posting on social media might be a 1. That means it's something you need to focus on now, not later, because it's going to have an immediate impact. Following up with your orders, that's pretty much a 1. If you're not following up, you're dead in the water. So that's pretty much a 1, top 1, right? If your fear is managing a team of 3 or 4 people, or I don't know how I'm going to be a leader if I have people on my team, maybe that's not as important right now if you're just starting your business. Maybe you're just starting and you don't have a team yet, and you're just working on getting your sales up. So maybe that fear, the fear of managing a team, maybe that could be a 3 or a 4 because it's not as timely. You don't have to do it right now, right? It's not that it's not important. It's just not the most pressing thing or fear that's going to hold you back the most right now. So maybe right now you want to focus on sales. And when it feels like you're afraid of a lot of things, which can happen when we start to write these goals on paper, rating your fears can help you prioritize which ones will have the biggest impact and the most timely impact on your business or your life. Because sometimes these fears can be something that you're dealing with in your life, not even your Avon business. Sandy says, CEO, constantly be an enthusiastic overachiever. That's definitely a definition of CEO, for sure. So these are the fears you want to start working on first, right? So maybe look at your fears in your, you also want to look at the fears in your personal relationships, right? Do you have a fear of talking about money with your spouse? Why? Go back. It could be maybe that you're, in my family, my dad handled the money. My mom just handed her paycheck over to him, and she never had a penny to her name. And, maybe I didn't. In fact, I actually think what I learned from that is I need to control my money, that I can't give control to anybody else. But maybe you learned that women aren't supposed to handle money. I don't know. And that's unrealistic and it's not true. But as a 5-year-old, your brain doesn't know that. Right? Your brain just learned whatever it learned from it. So maybe that's it. So break it down into specifics so you'll know how the conversation will proceed, right? And so look back at your list and what's your most pressing fear? This will be one of the ones that you marked as a 1, using the second method, or a fear that's going to have a big impact in the short term. And pick one fear to work through for the rest of this process that I'm about to share with you. So now you're going to take that fear and you're going to, you've done all the hard work of naming and refining your fears into something more specific and manageable. And so now we're going to work on getting over that fear. We're just going to do one at a time, right? So before you dive in, start trying to do the things that you're afraid of. Pause, because not all actions are created equal. So one way to figure out the best action to take to get over your fear is dig deeper into their source. So here's David Wetton and Kim Cameron have a book called Developing Management Skills. And they talk about there's a few ways to discover the source of any fear. So most CEO fears fall into one or both of these categories: a lack of knowledge or lack of personal motivation. So which category do your fears fall into? So is your fear an ability issue? Do you simply not have the knowledge or skills you need to do to make it happen? If your answer is yes, then there's 3 more questions that they do. Do you need additional resources? Is it additional training you need? Do you actually need to learn this skill, or is it something you can perhaps hire out to someone else? Again, talking about the teenager to do your social media, right? Or hey, Google and YouTube are our best friends, right? We've already figured that out, right? So for example, if your big fear is around not knowing how to tackle your taxes, or fear that you'll wind up in a bind with the IRS, you really probably don't need training around this. What you need is an awesome accountant who understands your business, right? You don't need to know everything about, you kind of need to know the basics, but an accountant can help you know what the basics are, what you need to track, and what you need to give him so he can manage your accounting, or her, I should say her. But so then it's just about, okay, I don't have to worry about that. I can pass that off to my accountant and I can get back to building my business, right? The next question is about personal motivation. Do you feel motivated to do the thing you fear? If not, then ask yourself these questions. Do you truly understand why taking this action or doing this thing matters? If not, this, of course, should lead to low motivation over time. So if you're not understanding why you need to be doing this, then your motivation is going to keep going lower and lower and lower. Are you seeking a reward or benefit from this action that you haven't received? So these are kind of important when it comes to your Avon business, because let's go back to, I'm afraid to do follow-ups, right? Do you truly understand why doing follow-ups, why this matters? Do you really, really understand what will happen if you don't do the follow-ups and what will happen if you do? I mean, just as an example, back when we were in California, we had a much bigger business. We were selling about $6,000 a campaign. And our reminder calls went out on Friday morning, and they were calls back then. They were pre-recorded calls. We didn't have cell phones really. And on Friday, when that reminder call went out, and I said, let me know by Monday if you need anything, I placed my order on Wednesday. But at the time that call went out, I might have had $500 in sales. And then that call went out, and by Monday or Tuesday, it was up to $6,000 in sales. That's what a big difference it makes. It's huge, you guys. Now, I was dealing with I was putting out a lot of brochures. I was doing a lot of reminders. I mean, it's all in the numbers, right? The more brochures you give out, whether it's digital or paper, the more people you talk to, the more your sales are going to be. That's my goal, 6,000 sales a month. That's a great goal. That is a great goal. And I'm working to get back to that too. Or maybe you're seeking a reward or benefit that you haven't received. So for example, if you posted promotional posts on social media and you got crickets in return, who knows about that? I mean, I post stuff on social media all the time and nobody ever comments. I mean, not on every post. I'm just saying on some posts, nobody comments, or it is crickets, right? And this could lead to no motivation to try it again, because you think there could actually be a positive payoff, like a sale or at least a positive comment. I would like to say on that is, you don't know how you're impacting people, especially on social media. You don't know, because so many people, they don't even comment or like or anything. They read your post and they scroll by, but it still affected them. They just didn't comment. And so you can't judge it based on the number of likes or shares or whatever you're getting, because it's, you're going to have low motivation because you think that no one's responding. But I can tell you, I've had people join my team and I'll say, hey, how did I meet you? Or how did you find me? Oh, I've been following you for years and I just finally got ready to join you. I love how you do your training. So, I mean, I didn't even know who they were for years. They've been following me. So yeah, like Sandy says, even if they don't comment, they are watching. They really are. So if you don't get comments, don't beat yourself up over that. Okay. So now we're going to brainstorm the right action to take. So now you can ask yourself, to start brainstorming, right? So what action can I take right now to get over this fear? Or is this fear out of my control at the moment? And the at the moment is key, right? So if you identify that there is an action you can take right now, awesome, that's what you're going to do. You're going to take that action. If there's truly no action you can take, this doesn't mean you'll never address the fear. You have it in writing, and since this is a process you should repeat, you'll revisit this fear. If there's some reason you really can't overcome that fear right now, then move on to the next one, because you will get to it, right? But luckily, action isn't the only way to address fears, although it's what we're focusing on here. So other ways to address the fears that don't allow you to take immediate action include journaling around the fear. So what exactly is the fear? When was the first time you remember experiencing it? Does it remind you of a particular situation from your past? That can really help you get clarity, right? Addressing it energetically. Some fears are deep-seated and not only hard to take action on, but also hard to define. So you can use a tool like EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, which is tapping. There's actually, you can literally tap at certain targets on your forehead and on your wrists and on your hand, where if you go through, and I just kind of sent a link to a post about that, but you can figure out what your true fears are and you can work through them energetically. Can be helpful because it's the energy field in your body. That's what tapping does, right? And there's instructional videos on YouTube about how to do EFT. So then you can block out time in your calendar each quarter to revisit your fears. It's not a one and done. We all have fears. Even the most successful Avon representatives have fears. Trust me, the minute you get over one, another one pops up. So trust me, you're never going to be done. So do that once a quarter, revisit your fears. It would be nice if you could set aside some time to figure out your fears every time you experience them, but that's not always feasible. So setting a specific time to revisit your list of fears and follow the rest of the process would be very valuable for both your business and your personal fears. And so for an example, I'm going to take you through a fear that you can take action on right now. Keep going through your list until you find a fear that does have some action, no matter how small, that you can take. If we go back to the fear of posting promotional content on social media, one small action could be that you could add a call to action to a post you've already put up, just to get a feel for it. You could use a gentle CTA, call to action, like message me for more information versus click to buy now. Right? I think you're going to get more response from the message me than click to buy now, because people have all these radars about, oh, they're just selling, right? So if you could just plan out your next promotional post, including the topic and the call to action, there you go. That would be your step that you could take, is to plan it out, right? And there's no right or wrong answers. And so your answer to the question above, what action can I take right now to get over this fear, should help you choose the right action. And if you feel like you need to learn more about this social platform, seek out blog posts that convey best practices, or go to YouTube or Google, right? And find one nugget you can take action on. And even if it's one small action every day, as long as you're doing something every day to move yourself towards your business, move your business towards success, it will add up over time to big changes. And eventually you'll overcome your fear or find another way to work around it, just so you can find the next fear, right? And if you're struggling to come up with an action, you don't have to eat the frog. You've heard that, right? How do you eat a frog? One bite at a time, right? And so when it comes to your biggest or pressing fear, that phrase is a time management and procrastination tool, that one about eating the frog. And it simply means tackle your biggest or most uncomfortable task first. And it may not feel good at the time, but that sense of accomplishment will carry you on throughout the day. And likely you're going to realize whatever this task was, it wasn't as difficult or as troubling as you thought it was going to be. How many times, we've all done that too, right? How many times do you finally convince yourself to do something and you do it and you go, wow, that wasn't as bad as I thought, right? That happens a lot. So small wins can help your CEO mindset. What really gets us going are those small wins. So there's another book, The Progress Principle, using small wins to ignite joy, engagement, and creativity. They say that there's recent psychological triggers that inspire us to face our fears. So luckily, one of those is small wins. So we don't need to post a promotional post and get 30 sales from it in order to successfully face our fear of posting promotional content on social media. Instead, if we focus on and achieve one small win, we will feel like we're making progress towards overcoming our fears. So what's the one small win? Well, it might be writing the promotional post. It might be posting the promotional post. And it might be responding to any negative comments with a neutral response. Try to focus on what you can control versus what you can't. Also, you guys, this is your social media. This is your Facebook. If somebody puts something really negative on your post, on your wall, delete it. There is no reason it has to stay there, right? But if your most pressing fear is speaking on live webinars, start by creating a pre-recorded webinar. You can do that as many times as you need to until you get it right? Or simply creating the webinar is the first step. Or if the whole thing seems overwhelming, start by writing an outline for your webinar. So those small wins can boost your confidence. And as your confidence expands, you're going to feel more motivated to keep taking action towards getting over your fears. Then don't forget to reward yourself. So another proven psychological principle that's been shown to help people overcome fears is a reward will imprint on your mind that tackling your fears is a good and positive thing for you to do. And while it might not see immediate results in your business from posting on social media, for example, over time, this small action will help you get over your fears and therefore make progress on the goals that you have for your business and get you that much closer to the vision that you hold. So another thing too is sometimes it's just the act, and then we broke down what steps can you take, but it's those steps that make the difference. So, that's why I systemize a lot of my stuff. So that's why I mail brochures. I schedule my follow-ups with Project Broadcast. Just that you don't have to. And even if you're manually, like when I teach following up with recruiting prospects, I actually teach a series of emails and texts. You can set that up, but it's a little bit complicated, or you can just do it. But you know what it is? It's like you just set this thing up and you go, okay, they came to me as a lead today. I met them. They want more information. So I'm going to call, text, and email them. I do all those 3 things. Unless I just talk to them, then I might not call them. But you know what I mean? I do those 3 things, call, text, and email. And then a week later, I text them. And then a week later, I email them. So those are steps. So when you're following up every day and you get up in the morning and you go, I have to look at my to-dos today. What am I going to do today? Oh, I need to send email number 3 to my prospect, Maria, right? So you're just going on and you're going and you copy and paste email number 3 into an email and you send it. You did the step. So you congratulate yourself for doing the step. You didn't congratulate yourself for her signing up. You congratulated because you took the action that it's going to take for you to be successful. People are always asking me, how is it I'm signing up so many people? Richard and I recruit, on average, between 2 and 4 new recruits every single day. Every single day. And if all of them would place an order, we'd be in heaven. But they don't. They don't. But anyway, that's a different story. So, but the point is, it's not, I don't congratulate myself for getting those recruits. The reason I get those recruits is because I do the steps, because I send email number 1, and then I send text number 1, and then I send email number 2, and then I send text number 2, and then I send a greeting card. And I do those steps, and I don't worry about, oh, they're going to think I'm bugging me or anything else. I just do the step. Oh, okay, I need to send email number 3. Okay, copy, paste, send, period. I did the step. So that's the key, you guys. Get out of your head. Figure out what you want out of your business. Figure out what steps it will take to get you there and do the steps. It's just that simple, right? So let's see. Griselda says, thank you both. Great training. We'll finish watching later. Have a blessed week. So she probably left. Thank you, Griselda. And Sandy says, steps like walking, one at a time.
Yeah.
It really is. And Lisa says, thank you. Great tips. So do you have anything before I get off of this?
One of the most profound advertising statements was Nike's "Just Do It," and if you don't do it, you're going to get frustrated. Most people will feel frustrated if you don't do it, but if you do it, you may have make a few mistakes, like she said. You make a few mistakes, but you get over those quickly because you don't want to do them again. Usually, a mistake happens one time. So you learn very quickly from it. And then you get the momentum going, like she said. If you start doing it, all of a sudden it's not as hard as you thought, or you get a couple wins. And the next thing you know, half an hour's gone by and you're still doing it. So, get in and do that. And another thing, just real quick, is think of the daily 8. If you take that on a piece of paper and roll it into a funnel, and the bigger you can make it at the top, all the things that you do, the more people that you're putting in. If you're getting a customer every day, or if you're getting a prospect every day, or if you're emailing somebody and they respond back to you, the more things that happen falling into the funnel, the more that's going to come out at the bottom. The bottom's small, the top is big.
Yeah.
So throw a lot of stuff out there, automate, like Lynn said, and you'll have a successful business.
That's exactly the reason why we're recruiting 2, 3, 4 people a day, because we keep throwing them in the top. And we throw in way more than 2, 3, 4 a day. We're like 20 a day, right?
Yeah.
So they come out, but it starts out big, and then some of them might stay in that funnel for a very long time, and eventually they'll spit out. And some people on my follow-ups, and this is why I don't ever quit, you guys. I have had people sign up 2 and 3 years after they've been on my list, and they've not quit hearing from me in that entire 2 to 3 years. I mean, it starts off once a week, and then it's once every 2 weeks, and then once every 3 weeks. And then ultimately, I'm only contacting them once a month. It's not like I'm bugging them, but I alternate emails and texts once a month after they've gone through the majority of my follow-ups. But I don't ever quit following up with them. And 2, 3 years later, they sign up and they go, I'm ready now.
Yeah. And a big thing, the reason why that happens is because things happen in people's lives. I think COVID has been the biggest thing, the most remarkable thing that we've seen of an awareness for people a lot of people don't want to go back to the jobs, I think, because they've been disrespected and they still feel disrespected and they're looking for an opportunity. Avon could be the perfect one. The holidays to me are the perfect time of the year to be pushing, because what happens with the holidays is January 15th, everybody gets their Christmas bill and they wonder how they're going to pay for Christmas. They get their credit card bill January 15th. Get them started with Avon, help pay off Christmas.
Yeah, have Avon help pay their Christmas this year, right?
Things happen. Yeah, things happen in people's lives. Johnny needs braces, or you move and you want to send your kid to a better school. You need a new car. Your kid turns 16 and he needs wheels. Get a job for insurance.
there's people's lives change, and their needs change, and their desires change, and so the key is you do the steps. You take the steps. You do the activities. You become CEO of your own Avon business. You determine as a CEO, what's your vision for your business? What do you want out of it? Where do you see it going? Like Griselda said, she wants to have 6,000 in sales a month. I think that's a great goal. Is she going to do it by tomorrow? Well, probably not. I don't know what she's selling right now, but it's probably not going to happen overnight, right? But if she keeps taking the steps, it will. Right. And so that's the key is use your CEO mindset to figure out what it is you want and how you're going to get there. And then put your employee mindset on and do the tasks and take the steps that you need to do. And then use your CEO mindset to get on you because you didn't get it done.
And have fun with it. That's the cool thing. You can have fun with this. This isn't a boss telling you what to do. You can have fun with everything you're doing.
Yeah. So we're way over, and then to only go an hour, but I knew this was going to go a little bit longer. So I want to thank you guys for being here. We will be back next Sunday, the 24th, same bat time, same bat channel. And we will do one more on CEO mindset. And I think then we'll move on after that. But I think we're going to hit some more on the CEO mindset next Sunday. So have an amazing week. We'll see you online, and we'll see you next Sunday on our live.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.